The number of sales in Toronto and Mississauga markets are down 50 and even 60% in some areas, hitting a 12-year low. What does this mean for the future of real estate in the GTA? And what does it mean for you as a buyer and a seller? Well, in this video, we go over the October 2022 Toronto and Mississauga housing market stats and what it all means. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, my name is Morgan Little. I'm a realtor here in the Greater Toronto area who also makes educational videos like this one to keep you informed on what's happening in the market. If at any time you want to discuss your real estate journey or just pick my brain, feel free to book a one-on-one by clicking the Calendly link in the description below. All right, let's talk about it. Stable pricing month over month, but a massive decrease in sales about sums up the October stats, especially condos and townhouses. And that's what we're going to focus on today because that's where I've been spending the bulk of my time lately, viewing and offering on condos in Toronto and Mississauga. So we'll go over both. Initially here, we'll go over the general market stats, and then we'll jump into what's happening in condos. These numbers here are based on the entire GTA and all asset classes, so it's a very broad view, needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Just keep that in mind. The average price in October 2022 across the GTA was $1,089,428, which is up only like $3,000 from last month. So nothing really substantial there, but it's worth noting that the number is still down 5.7% from this time last year. Days on market is very similar to last month at 33 and 35 respectively. And then you have the amount of new listings, which we've all been talking about lately because they've generally been pretty low historically speaking, which sat at 10,390 in October, which is down from September's numbers of 11,237, a decline of 7.5% and down 11.5% from October 2021. So it's not boding well for our issue of trying to increase supply on the market. But the biggest point of contention, and you'll see a pattern here as we go through the condo stats as well, is the record number of actual sales that are occurring. In October, we had 4,961 sales, down 1.5% from September, which was already an extremely low, but down 49.2% from the same time last year. That is a staggering number, and it's making all kinds of headlines. So now let's talk about condos, because like I said, that's where I've been spending a lot of time. It's where my clients' heads have been at lately, both in Toronto, and I've been spending a lot of time viewing and talking about Mississauga condos. So we'll start with condo townhomes in Toronto, which may have been the hardest hit in all this, with an average October price of $863,310. The number is actually up from the $832 just under in September and down only slightly from last year. But it's the number of sales again of condo townhomes in all of the city of Toronto last month was 123, full stop. That's actually up from 118 in September, but it's down a whopping 59% year over year. That's right, I did say that. But it's kind of a strange little area because prices haven't really caught up with the fact that sales aren't happening. So I'm curious to see how this trend continues into the winter months. And let's go on to condo apartments in the city of Toronto with an average price of $470,374, down a couple points from last month, but up a healthy 13.38% from last year, October. That's kind of interesting. Condos do seem to be the least volatile asset class through this recent uncertain housing market that we've all seen. But as we can see, the number of sales are still down over 50% from last year, with the new number of listings down 23%. So now let's compare to Mississauga and see how we fare there. Starting again with condo townhomes, which had an average price of $735, down 3.5% from last month and only down 2.5% from last year. So nothing too crazy there, but again, the number of sales are down almost 60%, with only 66 transactions taking place in the whole month of October. Kind of crazy. Compared to condo apartments in Mississauga, which had an average price of $648,432, an increase of 5.8% since September and 7.3% from October 2021. Those numbers sound pretty sane until you look, oh, look, sales are down 57% from 2021. With only 153 total for the whole month. So as you can see, there's a common theme here, and it's really been moving this direction. And the number one issue is still lack of supply, but we're not seeing the same effect the supply issue had earlier in the year, which prompted bidding wars and skyrocketing prices. We're seeing buyers sitting on the sidelines, not actively out there making purchases. So obviously the interest rates have had a major factor, as is the looming, I don't even know if I'd call it looming anymore. We're probably in a recession, but haven't really felt the full effects of it yet. But either way, all of this uncertainty has slowed things up. Absolutely. The best way I've heard it described is if you're driving down the 401 at full speed and then you hit traffic and all of a sudden you're going 40 or 50, we're still moving, it just feels like it's a lot slower. So what does this mean for you? Well, as a seller, it can be a bit daunting. There's a big movement of people who aren't fetching the price they were hoping for and are simply delisting and leasing out the unit instead of selling, if that's an option. Or your place may just be sitting on the market much longer than we're used to seeing earlier in the year. And for buyers, like I said, there's a lot of you that are playing the wait and see game, and I get it. Maybe rates have pushed your affordability out of reach and it makes sense for you to sit tight till we see how things settle out. But if you're a buyer who is ready, and by ready I mean has an accessible down payment, ready to go, are not dependent on the sale of your home to be able to buy, know what type of place you want to move into, whether that's a condo or a townhouse or a larger detached home, and most importantly can afford the monthly mortgage payments at the current rates without stretching yourself too thin, then you, my friend, are in a pretty good position. Now I know this can be a point of contention for some people, but there's a lot of opportunity out there for buyers to make offers on places that have been sitting on the market or getting relisted at lower prices. Remember, we date the rate, marry the price. So you can get a good price right now. That price will be forever. You can always get a shorter term mortgage, 1, 2, 3 years, and look at refinancing once rates settle down. As always, speak to a mortgage broker to know your options before even looking at properties. I'd be happy to recommend some. Leave me a comment below or send me an email to Morgan@Toronto Property Finder, or book a one-on-one by clicking my Calendly link in the description below. And if you're a cash buyer, well, the world is your oyster right now. All that I recommend is that you don't try to time the market. Yes, we may be seeing prices go down even further, but if you believe in the fundamentals of the Canadian economy, you don't stress the micro events. Buy when you're ready and enjoy your home. Real estate should be a long-term strategy. That's all for now. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. That link is in the description. We'll talk soon.